We as religious scientists are able to do what? Find the golden thread that binds them all together and say, why do they all work? Not why does one of them work and this one doesn't. Everybody say, nobody has a copyright on truth. Nobody has more power than I have. See, we all use the same 24 hours to think, don't we? Okay, how many know that's true? Okay, how many know people who don't? The people who don't do what? They blame it on fate or luck or coincidence or God's doing it to me or the devil doing whatever nonsense they come up with. You are what you think about all day long. And as we affirm here quite often, the power within you as you does not know what's going to happen to you till you make up your mind. So isn't this a good time? You know, always at the end of the year is a good time to make up your mind in a new way. How many are ready to make up your mind about your 2011 in a new way, to meet it in a new way, to let go and let the beautiful in you as you move forward? Dr. Holmes is quoting he's quoting the story. He loved the story of the prodigal son primarily because of the metaphysical teaching in it. It's one of the most powerful metaphysical lessons that you will find in the Bible, and it is a very, very powerful lesson. Why? Because if we look at it as more than a story, if we look at the lesson of it, pull it out and apply it, then the story becomes a powerful now and not a worship of something that happened 2,000 years ago. See, the powerful now of this story is, as Dr. Holmes says, the prodigal son remains a prodigal as long as he chose to do so. When he chose to, he returned to his father's house and was greeted with outstretched hands. So shall our experience be when we return to the world which is perfect. There is something that will turn to us. Everyone say, whatever I turn to, I turn into. Okay. Whatever you turn to, you turn into. How many have done that? How many have gone through the experience of really being sick and tired of being sick and tired? You were just fed up with it, and you make a demand on the universe, and all of a sudden things change for the better. Okay. Now, the problem with that is a lot of times people make a demand to change for the better, and they run away from what's in front of them without changing consciousness, only to stop in a new place and create what? A new version of what they left. How many have done that? Okay, so I'm not telling you something that you don't, I don't have to convince you this is true. We are what we think about all day long, no matter where we are. Okay, what was it, the idea? Wayne Dyer was walking down the street one day in Fort Lauderdale, and somebody saw him, recognized him, said, Dr. Dyer, said, we just moved here. How is it here? He said, how was it where you left? They told him. He said, probably about the same way here. Okay. How many have proved that to yourself? You don't need Wayne Dyer to teach you that. So your challenge is what? See, this is why if you're an employer, that's why you want a resume. You want to see what somebody did in their last job, because they're probably going to do it in this one. Okay. Somebody called me the other day. They wanted treatment for relationships, and they said they're already having problems because the last 3 people they were out with over dinner, all they did was talk about their past terrible relationships. Okay. And they said, I've demonstrated 3 different people with the same baggage. So we got into a consciousness of now I accept someone who, even if they have baggage, keep their mouth shut. That's all right. Anyhow, Dr. Holmes says, so shall our experience be when we return to the world, which is perfect. Now, what do we mean by that? Everybody say perfection, perfection, perfection. All is perfection unless you step out of the camera. Okay. Perfection, perfection, perfection. All is perfection. Okay. Now, perfection doesn't care what you do with it. I think that's one of the great metaphysical lessons. Perfection, I've had people come up and say, you people think you're perfect. I said, yes, we do. Okay. Why? Because, again, everybody say with me, perfection doesn't care what I do with it. So you can be perfectly happy or perfectly unhappy. Perfection doesn't care. Okay. The power within you does not care how you use it. And what you're using it for, you may define as good, and somebody else may use it the same way and define it as terrible. Okay. And that's okay. Okay. Why? We're all individuals. God never made 2 of anything alike. And if there were 2 of anything alike, there wouldn't be any use for one of them. Thank you, Emerson. Dr. Holmes continues, said, we shall behold a new heaven and a new earth, not in some far-off place, but here and now. Act as though I am and I will be. Say that with me in first person. Act as though I am and I will be. Now, how are you acting? See? Are you acting from expectancy? Are you acting from love? Are you acting from positive, right action in your own life? Dr. Holmes says the Spirit of truth will lead us into all good. This is the high road to the fulfillment of our lives, and that's what we want to do. We want to take the high road. How many know where you are right now? How many don't know and would like to? Okay. Now, what you want to do, if you want to meditation, and I recommend all of you be here between services for our meditation experience. Reverend Barbara's here, and she prepares and does a beautiful, beautiful work with that. And it's a good thing to do. Take some time, at least once a week, and sit down and become quiet and still and get some affirmation going in the positive way. I heard a thing this morning. They were talking about they have just completed a major exercise. Somebody just wrote a new book, a major MD in this country. It was being interviewed this morning, and his new book, we need to get it for the bookstore, is The Secret to Staying Healthy All the Time. And one of the first things he says in there is the healthiest people on the planet are, and he lists a number of them, and right at the top of the list are people who use affirmative prayer and positive affirmation every day are the healthiest. You know, it was William James in his great book, The Varieties of Religious Experience, who in defining this group of people, group that we are, religious science, unity, divine science, as the healthy-minded religions. The healthy-minded. Okay. So you have two kind of people. You have the goodness of God people and the badness of people. The goodness of God Christians, the badness of people Christians, okay? The goodness of God Jews, the badness of people Jews, the goodness of God Islam, the badness of people Islam, all those things, it's all divided up. Why not be a goodness of infinite intelligence person, knowing that if it is infinite, it must be true of everyone, and whatever's true of you must be true of everybody else, whether they know it's true or not. So you make a choice, and that's to act from what you know, not from what they don't know. How many know that would have saved you a whole lot of time somewhere in your life if you had just operated from what you know instead of what they don't know? Instead of to operate from what you understand instead of from what they don't understand. See, the power within you is you. Dr. Holmes concludes this by saying, there is then no limitation outside of our own ignorance. Now, ignorance does not mean you're stupid. It just means you're ignoring something.